Okay, we are now live for our Tuesday, January 3rd, 2017 Verbal to Visual Workshop. First workshop of the new year. Excited to hear how everyone is doing today. Our plan for today's workshop is to lay out each of our plans for the year to come. If you've had a chance to sketch out in some form or another what you're up to this year, then you can share that and kind of talk through it, and also let us know how this community here, the Verbal to Visual community, might be able to support you throughout this year, because that's something that's on my mind right now in particular, and it seems like a good time to just hear what everyone's up to, and so that both kind of these webinar workshops throughout 2017, and then also what's going on within Slack, so that we can tailor these opportunities to connect in a way that is in the most alignment with what y'all want to get out of this. So that's kind of our plan for today. If you have an image to share or are kind of still working on one, you can kind of get that prepared if you like. And while you might be doing that and gathering your thoughts or uploading images, I'll go ahead and share my somewhat rough plan for 2017. Within my progress log on Slack, I uploaded a couple of images that you will be able to see in more detail in the next two episodes of Verbal to Visual video, the first of which should come out tomorrow. And what I will be sharing in tomorrow's episode is the big picture plan. And the way I framed this was, whoops, I selected, which one's showing right there? So too many windows. Okay, good, the right one is showing. So what I kind of did to organize my thoughts around this year was looking back at kind of what I set out to do at the beginning of 2016. And at that time, I had in mind kind of a large number of projects. And I framed that this year as thinking of it as my lifelong business plan, because there are enough pieces to the projects that I want to pursue that I could foresee spending a lifetime bringing it all to life. So those two primary projects are Verbal to Visual and Learn in Public, both of which have this similar format to them. I share video episodes on YouTube and Facebook. Each has a membership community, and each have educational products associated with them. Shared a little tally of how many of each of those kind of we had in 2016. And then also up top are kind of my own more personal creative pursuits. I like to write and want to find time to continue doing that. I'm interested in developing my music skills and even kind of delving more into music theory. And I like to travel, and did a decent amount of traveling this year via train, plane, and van. So what I like about this combination here is I am pretty happy with the fact that these two projects at the bottom here, Verbal to Visual and Learn in Public, where I do teaching and develop resources and have conversations with you all. I like that those serve as both kind of the theoretical and financial foundation for my own personal creative projects. And that I can apply both the principles here behind Verbal to Visual and our visual thinking skills, and also the kind of newer ideas that I'm starting to develop at Learn in Public. I can apply both of those to any of my own personal creative pursuits. And I like that balance between, I guess, kind of teacher and practitioner. And overall, that's a balance that I want to keep, and I want to eventually be pursuing all of these. But what I realized after a lot of experimentation last year is that pursuing all of these at once right now just left me too widely distributed, and I didn't really feel like I had any momentum behind any of these things. So what that means is that throughout 2017, I'm going to have a much more singular focus on verbal to visual, which I'm really excited about. Going to get a weekly schedule down for releasing new video episodes every Wednesday. It's looking like going to keep this membership community going, and also going to be working on some new educational products. So I am excited to have more focus on verbal to visual throughout this year, knowing that these other projects will have a chance to come back and hopefully shine in some years to come. We'll see how that goes. So that is kind of my big picture plan for 2017. There we go. And then I guess the other plan, which maybe there's that van life, is probably less relevant to this conversation, is I've kind of sketched out, if you want to look at the image on my progress log, I sketched out a kind of a new daily routine as far as like how I'm structuring my day to make sure that I am putting energy into the projects and the things that are important to me, and making sure I'm getting exercise and blocking off social time. So going to, I feel like I feel like over the past couple of years, since I've lived in multiple places, I've had many opportunities to kind of recreate my daily routine. So I'm feeling good about where that stands, and excited about the spaces, the times and the spaces that I have set up to both have a focus here within this office on verbal to visual, and then spaces outside of this office to live the rest of my life and do other things as well. Caroline, Isabel mentions, it's good that you have done this already, Doug. I've been back since Sunday and did not even start looking at a plan since I need to finish the syllabi first. Gotcha. So Caroline, Isabel is working on prep for the upcoming term. Great. Okay. So I think what we'll try to do, yeah, let's try, I know this is hopefully not too inconvenient, but let's try to keep text conversation to the webinars channel within Slack, just so we have that all in one place. I think that'll be a little bit, even though it might not be quite as easy in the moment, a better place to capture and store the text conversation. So the numbers to that image mean, let me pull it up again. Mean that, so throughout 2016, I made 14 new episodes of Verbal to Visual video. We hosted 113 webinars here within this membership community, thanks to our stretch of doing daily webinars for a while. And I made one new educational product, which was the course on how to make sketchnote videos. And similarly for Learn in Public, 7 new video episodes, 26 webinars within that separate community, and 1 new product, the Learn in Public workbook. So that was just a bit of a kind of tally on, tallying up what I actually made and put out there in 2016. We'll probably end up doing something similar next year, but it will just show a little bit more focus solely on verbal to visual. Okay, so let's do a bit of round robin sharing here, so that each of you are able to kind of share either what you're thinking about, what you've sketched out, what you're kind of planning for the year to come, and then also ways in which this community here might be able to support you throughout the year. I will direct traffic here going left to right as I see it. Caroline, Isabel, let's start with you. I know you might not have had time to sketch anything out, but why don't you kind of talk through what's going on for you this year?
No problem. So I have, in the upcoming semester, I have 3 types of duties. So I have the teaching, which is going to happen whether I'm ready or not. There's the administration, which it too is going to happen whether I'm ready or not. I'm on a committee for a national grant committee, so I'm going to have about 1,000 grant applications to review, whether I want to or not, and that's at the end of the month. So all of these things are going to happen whether I want to or not. So they are already in the schedule, firmly placed, and there is no moving them about, which is why I'm trying to finish the syllabi right now as quickly as I can, so that when the semester starts, at least that will be on a roll and I won't have to look into it. I have 3 courses this semester. Usually I only have 2, but I don't know if you guys, I don't know how familiar you are with the university setting, but 3 courses is an extraordinarily heavy workload, because for students as well as for professors, each course is about 45 hours. So I have, with all the marking and the supervision and the contact with the students and the prep and then the teaching, and so I have 3. One is completely done in that it will start and be automatic, so that's good, but the other 2 are still not finished. Then the administration is just, as it's a letter here, it's a decision here, so it's always piling up, and it's about 200 emails a day, and then there's the research, which this semester I've decided not to do. I will not be doing any substantial research other than those few things that I promised I was going to be doing. And so there is not going to be a lot of fundamental research happening at all. Only a few papers that I'm going to be presenting, which do not require a lot of research, or rather just writing and presenting something that has already been researched. The reason I want to do this is because I have fiction writing projects that have been suspended for over a year, and I want to finish those so that I will not have to think of them again starting in the summer. I don't know when I'll be doing those fictions. I will find holes in my schedule and put them there. I have not done that yet. That's where I am right now.
Wow, sounds like quite a bit on your plate then for this term. And it sounds like of your 3 courses, one of them is already kind of fully, the course materials are fully developed, yes. But the other 2, there's some development still yet to be done.
It's more of putting the stuff where it needs to be. The development is done, but things need to be moved around. I have stuff that I need to scan and to put online. It's more of the fine-tuning. The actual structure of the courses are both done. It's like, putting the stuff where it should be so the students will find it.
Gotcha. And what are you thinking regarding the role that sketchnoting might play, I guess, both kind of within the courses as an instructor, but then also potentially the admin and the writing and the research, that role as well? Both
courses have a heavy graphic facilitation component, and that is going to continue. I'm actually, one of the courses I'm going to bring in more graphic facilitation than I did the last time I taught it. The one I'm working on today, actually, which is on history and pseudo-history and how one distinguishes the 2 and finds ways to dismiss pseudo-history. So that course is going to have even more graphic facilitation. As for planning, to me is usually something that I do with a sketchnoting element. It's usually extremely ugly and on graph paper, and it's not publishable, but that's how I do that. This will continue. And as for the fiction writing, this current project that I'm not finishing is actually not at all working with sketchnoting. I ended up plotting the whole thing as a outline, and it came out. So I don't know if I'm ever going to be putting any sketchnoting in it because it doesn't seem to need it. Others that other writing projects, whether fiction or nonfiction, have been much more sketchnoting heavy. This one isn't, funnily enough. With fiction, I just let stuff flow out and see what happens. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. And even, kind of, I think it's a useful reminder that we don't have to force sketching or visuals just for the sake of doing it. That when an outline serves the purpose better, fills its role within the project, then you're good to go. And then just keep going from there.
That project was amazing. I sat down and within an afternoon, I had all 3 short stories planned out.
Nice. That's a really good sign when it just flows like that. And I'm excited too for the kind of graphic facilitation piece within the classroom, as we've talked about before. That I think that's a cool application of this skill, and I think you have a unique experience to many of us, at least in terms of the fact that you're in a classroom multiple times a week. So you essentially have a graphic facilitation gig many times a week.
Yeah.
So I guess kind of
useful.
What's that?
And the students find it useful. Most of the time, I'll have students take pictures of the whiteboard or blackboard, depending on what we have, and go from there when they review. So it works.
Can you foresee a either general or specific way in which this community can support, maybe particularly that work, kind of the in-class graphic facilitation side of what you're doing this year?
I'll have to see whether the groups that I have, how they react to the graphic facilitation, and then I'll be able to diagnose what I need. Groups differ a lot from year to year, from semester to semester. It's very organic. And so some groups just gel and get it right away, and others don't at all. And so you need to help them get it. And so I don't know how it'll be. It'll take a couple weeks for both of them. I'll let you guys know.
Right on, please do. Yeah, it's like mini case studies, test groups within each individual classroom. So that's cool. Even just hearing how students are reacting to this type of thing too is, I think, fun for us to hear. I know it is.
Often it's astonishment at first, and then they get it. Sometimes they never do, but anyway, we'll see. We'll see what it is this year.
Sounds good. Thank you, Caroline Isabelle, for that update. Good luck with all of that work and that heavy load this year, and I hope you'll be able to check in here from time to time to let us know how it is all going. Christine, let's go to you next.
Okay, so I just drew something and I had no time to upload it, and I don't have any channel yet, so that's, I will show you what I drew. I think if you can see that, I don't know.
Christine, do you want me to get you set up with a progress log within Slack where you could upload an image? Do you think you'd use that?
Yes, I can use that. I don't know if I could do it by myself or if you need to do it. And as I'm rather new to Slack, I don't know how to do it anyway. So.
For today, maybe for time's sake, do you have Slack open to the webinars channel by chance?
Yes.
Would you maybe be willing to share an image there? Do you have an image yet of that?
I don't know how to send it quickly, so I can, yes, I just did an image. I can send it to my mailbox, and then and then I don't know where to upload it.
Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and do that, and then I'll kind of go maybe to Raven, since I saw that she uploaded an image. And once you have an image on your computer or wherever you're using Slack, Christine, you can use the plus button to the side of the text box where you would normally share something within the webinars channel.
Okay.
When you hit that plus button, you can import a file from your computer.
Okay. Okay.
So that's how you upload images. So I'll let you play around with that. If you need help getting that going, we can chat again. But in the meantime, Raven, I'll pass it to you so that you can talk through the image that you shared within your progress log.
Share it, or
I'll go ahead and share it so that nice image of the puppies there too. Let me do this.
thankfully the puppies have worn each other out and decided to go to separate corners now.
Good, less distracting for you. Okay, yeah. Talk us through these plans here for 2017.
It's not very. It's more, I guess, on the text and the layout and color, and less on the imagery. There's 4 major areas that I want to build in, and this is mostly business in general, but if this gets in place, it'll make life in general better. So like the 4 areas that I want to work on are the servant sketching of artful, detail stuff.
Raven, sorry to interrupt here. Your audio was a little bit broken up for me, and I'm guessing, was it broken up for other people too, or just yeah, I see nodding head. I don't know if you might try, Raven, maybe turning your camera off. That might make it easier to hear the audio.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, sounds like it might be a little better. Go for it.
All right. The 4 major in my day-to-day work life until like the rest of life, so it won't be as much escapism from the work part, but all around 30-day plans of a goal for each 30.
Dang, somehow that seemed. Sorry to interrupt again, Raven, but it seems like the audio somehow got worse when the camera was off. So we were only catching about half of what you were sharing there. So maybe if you'd be willing to maybe jump back into your progress log and do a little bit of a text sharing of more or less what you were talking through, and also I don't know, we lost her entirely. Well, it looks like she might try to log back in. So we'll see if Raven is able to hop back on. Hopefully so. Christine, let's check back in with you. How was the image uploading and sharing? Are you able to figure that out?
No, the image didn't go out. I don't know why. So I have problem with my telephone now. So maybe I try 5 minutes more, and otherwise I will just talk without loading anything. But maybe Maddie can share, and then I try.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good. Thanks for trying, Christine. I appreciate it. Maddie, let's go to you.
All right. Yeah, that was just a joke.
Funny guy.
Hopefully you can all hear me okay. So this is a very exciting time. So this is my leap of faith. Friday was my last day of the day job, and I'm now full-time with the Whiteboard Academy. I'm self-employed. It felt good Friday when I left the office, but it felt even better today when everyone else was driving back to work and I was walking up to my studio here in the attic. So, and had a lunch appointment with some clients. So big year for me. And so here's what I've done. So I have begun to do some visioning for this year. And what that has involved is kind of identifying my word of the year and my top kind of words of the year to help be my guide, and also help identify some core values, things that I want to focus on in a couple of different places in my life. And I'll share just a couple of quick images with you, and feel free to kind of stop me or at any point if I'm going too long. But this, what I'm sharing with you now is kind of overarching, and then I'll share something very specific for one aspect of the business. So, and maybe I ought to start there. So, the Whiteboard Academy is 3 primary services. So the first is graphic recording, right? So that's listening and creating a visual summary. The second is visual facilitation. So that's leading a group through a conversation or a process kind of from the front of the room using graphic and visual templates. And then the third part, Christine, it looks like your file came through. That's cool. And the third part is training. So that is Innovation ThinkPad with Diane Bleck. So she and I, she's the founder and I'm the co-founder of Innovation ThinkPad, a training program. And then the Whiteboard Academy kind of as my own, graphic recording and visual facilitation. So those are kind of the 3 lines of business, the 3 services that we're offering to help describe it to folks. So here's my word of the year for 2017. Hungry. And what that means to me is hungry to serve. I have, as I've been listening to some different kind of sales and training webinars and groups that I'm involved with, I have come to understand that the folks who are most successful as business owners see their role not as sales, but as service. And so when I talk with people and share what I do, what I'm trying to find is a way to serve. And that really, for me, our mission at the Whiteboard Academy is to help others unlock awesome through visual thinking. So hungry, and my hashtag is serve boldly for that. And the little quote that I have that goes with it is, what are you willing to do to get what you want? So that's and then I have 2 supporting words for that, which are disciplined and courageous. So you'll notice all of these are action words: hungry, disciplined, courageous. So they're active tense. And for courageous, my hashtag is action anyway. So fear, yes, because it wouldn't be courage without fear, but I'm not going to grow my business sitting up here in the studio. That's going to happen out there in the world. And so my quote to go with that for myself is practice bravery. It's a practice. So, and my third supporting word is disciplined, which doesn't come super easy for me, but my hashtag is wisdom daily. So it's not knowing what to do, it's doing what I know what to do, right? And so my quote for that is, what if it were easy? Not this big, giant, capital D, disciplined, must do, always. Screw that. What if it were super easy and supported me? And so I've come to understand that what discipline is about about future payoff. It's about putting things back where they go. So later, when I go to get them, they're right where they are. So, and for that, my kind of guiding thing for that is I'm going to dream big, but I'm going to plan little, step by step. I'm not going to let these big, giant things scare me from taking action. I know where I'm pointing, and as long as I know the next step or two, then I can keep walking. I don't need to know every step along the path. So tiny goals for 2017 is what this means for me. So that's the overarching piece. I just share one other thing that goes with that, and then I'll show you this business model that Diana and I put together. So last year I did a vision board which had kind of three main trunks for Muddy and my family and my work. All of the things from my past and my foundation fed up through this trunk. It was a year of growth. And then each one of these little circles, I know you can't see them all, but each one of these little circles had a little visual element in them too. So there was 7 things for Muddy, 7 things for family, 7 things for the work of my hand. So I wanted to show you this because I'll follow a little bit of a similar process looking, this is just a rough draft, but looking at that light is too harsh, but a little tree format. And there's just 3 things I want to focus on for Muddy, for my family, and for my business. This element up here at the top, this circle with these symbols, and this thing over here, a couple of years ago, every birthday I like to try and be a little bit introspective. And on the major intervals, 5 and 10 years, I really like to do that a little bit more intentionally. And a couple of years ago, I went through and decided what my core values were kind of once and for all. And I came up with this triangle graphic. It's really like a 3-sided pyramid. And those core values of faith, love, service, and joy. And so I can just draw this little symbol and it holds a lot of meaning for me. The second step in that process was these different roles that I play. So role as a self, as myself and a follower of Christ, my role as a husband, my role as a father. So on the top half, these 3 slices of this are kind of my personal world. And then kind of the public world, friends, family, and then these 2 at the bottom represent kind of my business and my passion, professional passion. So as a professional, passionate, and then as a business owner, in any case, in each of those slices, what I've done is come up with kind of my words or values or focus for the year for each of those slices. So I'm still only partway into this process, but as an example, with the Whiteboard Academy, the 5 words that I've identified: professionalism, abundance, prosperity, willingness, and structure. So those 5 words I'll build in as my kind of 2017 anchors for the Whiteboard Academy, for that slice of the pie. So not exactly sure how all of these different things come together just yet. These 3 big words of the year, this kind of vision tree with 3 things on each branch, and these couple of words for the slices. But that's okay. I don't need to have it all figured out just yet. The last thing I want to share with you, and I'll see if I can share my screen if this will work. Yeah, it looks like it's going to work. Okay. So this, you'll find a little bit more maybe satisfying because it's much more complete. So what this is the business model canvas. If that means anything to you, there's a book called Business Model Canvas, Business Model Generation. And it uses this business model canvas as a way to think about the different aspects of your business, from partners and activities and resources, through the value proposition, which is in the top center, and then beginning to go out from your business, the customer relationships, the different channels that you deliver that value, and the customer segments that you're working to serve. And then on the bottom are kind of the costs and revenue pieces. So this is something that Diane and I had a strategic planning session, since this is a shared business for the both of us, this training program, and developed this business model. So this is, I'm showing you a digital version, but it's a poster size graphic. So I'll put this on the wall as well, and it will help make sure that we're doing the things we want to do to get where we want to go, if that makes sense. So I feel like I've been going for a while here. I will end with that for now. Happy to answer any questions or share further, but big year, lots of pieces in motion. And the last thing I'll tell you is this idea of identifying words of the year. I also had my girls, my 3 daughters, and my wife do as well. So they've each identified kind of one word of the year and then 5 core values that kind of support that word. We're going to get together one of these nights, tonight or tomorrow, and kind of share all that together as a family. So lots of planning for the new year happening here at Muddy Hollow. So thanks, guys.
I love it. Thank you for sharing all of that, Muddy, and congratulations on setting forth on this kind of new step in your journey, getting your own business off the ground, and already with a solid foundation too. If folks have specific questions for Muddy, feel free to share them within Slack. I really enjoyed seeing the from my perspective, seems to be a pretty awesomely comprehensive view and picture of both kind of specifically what you're doing with the business side of things, then also how that kind of fits in with your personal life as well, and kind of being able to dig in, having that layered effect to it as well, being able to zoom in on specific projects or those specific words. And even just, the structure of all of those, having the 3 words and then a hashtag and then also a quote to support each of those things that you're wanting to focus on this year. I think that's, you're setting yourself up for a lot of awesome things to be unlocked for you and that you will unlock for others throughout the year. And I think I kind of asked this question last week, but I'll ask it again in case that you have some new thoughts around it. As far, Muddy, as how this community might be able to support you and your plans throughout this year.
Right on. Thank you. I have thought about that a little bit, and the kind of 3 things that I would like to, 3 things that Verbal to Visual community can do to support me and kind of mutually that I can help support. So the first is I'm ready for a progress log. I haven't been logging progress on the website, and I haven't yet done that on Slack, and it's time, because that will be an accountability measure for me. So I can use that as a way to check in weekly and make sure I know what I want and make sure I'm taking steps to follow through on that. So that's the first, is a progress log. The second is to be able to use the Verbal to Visual community as a little bit of a sounding board as I develop products and pitches and marketing, ways to explain this to people who have no idea what I'm talking about, to be able to come and kind of share that first on Verbal to Visual, get some feedback and let others kind of, build off of that and take that as well, because there's plenty of room in this space for all of us. So that's the second way. And then the third way is to know that I'm full-time and I love to travel. So think of me if you have an opportunity or are looking for a partner or looking for support on a particular project. So love to lead and love to follow and love to come alongside. So in any way that I could support you and your endeavors, think of me.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you for thinking about that and also having those specific requests, which are great for all of us, I think, and very, very actionable for us as well. So I will definitely get you set up with that progress log. And one thing that had come to mind a few days ago, kind of more along the lines of a sounding board, as I think about the structure of these workshops, the idea of potentially alternating between having one that is kind of more workshop focused, where I might bring a topic to the table and have some activities and ideas and kind of skill building things around that particular topic. Do that one week, and then the next week is more of Q&A feedback, where you and any community members would bring something that they're thinking about. They would kind of generate the discussion points for that webinar. So I think I might try that at least kind of as a test to see if that balance between more workshops and then kind of more feedback Q&A, if that ends up being a useful thing. But then maybe still starting each, I want to get back to more of like warm-ups or some sort of like skill builder to get our visualness going, and to make sure we're at least doing a little bit of drawing or sketchnoting at the beginning of each workshop before we jump into either the topic for that day or the feedback Q&A. So if you have any thoughts on that kind of dynamic of alternating between those, let me know. Thank you for the thumbs up, buddy. Great. Yeah, thanks again, buddy, for sharing all of that. Let's go to Christine, and then we'll circle back to Raven. Christine, I'm glad you were able to get your image shared there. I will pull that up. Let's see. Yeah, I think this will work.
Okay, I hope you will see clearly enough. It's a bit, I had to send it in a low res, so it's not very good. And it's just, I just throw that on paper while in the beginning of this webinar. So, but anyway, I've been, there are two new things in two big questions I have right now regarding the visual side of what we do. It's the first one is last year I did one graphic recording for one team building with a friend of mine, and it was, I loved it really. And so also I didn't think at that time I was ready to do it. I did it, and the client, he loved it. So I am wondering if I should do something with my visual of my drawing anyway. And I've been thinking a lot about it, and I think I would like to write more regularly, and probably using, so I don't know how to write, and probably using visual, but is it to illustrate what I write? Is it mainly visuals, or is it a mixture? I don't know how to do it yet, and I didn't manage to decide how I will do it. And the second question that goes with it is, am I going to use to learn how to use digital tools to or not? I mean, it's quite complicated for me, so I don't know. I will have to learn lots of things. I mean, all the how to use the app and things like this. Or do I choose to use to write by hand and just make pictures and share pictures? I saw one guy who is doing that. And I think from a webinar that from here that I watched afterwards, and I don't remember his name, but it was really interesting, and I loved what he does. So, where here are my questions. I'm right now I'm here, so there is no goal, no plan yet. I know those are those big questions for this year, and I'm working on it. So, And I also need to say that I don't think it is going to even if I do some graphic recording, I don't believe it is going to be my main part, the main part of my work. So so I have a question of time constraint. So I'm doing many different things. So I need to figure out how to get all that together and add the visual, because it's such a pleasure, a joy to do. So I want to spread that joy and yeah, it's a work in progress. I agree. Thank you.
It's great. Well, it sounds like you're at a place where you are even just having to find the questions around the things you would like to explore throughout the year. I think that's a great place to be. And just knowing, I think we've talked about before, maybe going in the direction of that joy, like knowing that that's something that you enjoy doing, and that clearly there are a number of ways in which you might be able to weave it into your work, maybe just aspects of your work, and those are worth pursuing. I'm curious, you mentioned on the writing side, what type of writing are you interested in doing this year? Oh, sorry, Christine, I muted you because I was getting a little bit of an echo, so you need to unmute yourself.
That's also a bit unclear. I am also working, like I think Muddy mentioned that also, the evolution of the organization, of the corporate world, of the world of work. So I don't know if I choose one clear, maybe clearer than before, a way of doing that. I mean, I am interested in self-organized team, networks, networking things, and something much more with much more autonomy and responsibility than before. So I don't know if I focus my writing on the new side of management, for instance, or if I, because right now I tend to write more on how to do that. I mean, tools and methods and about complexity and collective intelligence and things like much more theoretical. And I want it to be much more accessible to everybody, and more easy to understand for anyone. So I want maybe to use I think you understood what I meant, what I mean.
Yeah, I could see it being an opportunity to not only do these kind of explorations and deep dives yourself as you are writing about these topics and exploring them, but then the more you do that, the more easily you're able to share those ideas, and kind of those become a resource, either directly or indirectly with the work that you do kind of within that field.
More. But it's difficult because there are many layers of questions. So that's I know that you do that when you do your video things. You do that, but I didn't figure out how to do it myself. I mean, becoming public about a question that I have myself is something difficult. And so that's the question that interests me too, because we are in a way we are in an unknown. I work about something that is unknown anyway, because we don't know what the world of work will be in a few decades. I mean, nobody knows. Maybe
Yeah.
what we have today. So that's the question.
Yeah, it's definitely a rapidly changing environment, that's for sure.
Exactly.
As is the world of education in a lot of ways too. Kind of in response to that, it's probably going to be 5 or 10 years behind the changing market, but it's going to be transformed in some way, I'm sure, as well. Christine, do you have a sense? It sounds like there's some exploring for you to do, but do you have a sense of how this community can support you both at this stage and then kind of later on throughout the year?
Yeah, oh yes, I know, because like Muddy said, I loved how he said that the progress log. I would like to post more on the progress log, and so that I draw regularly, because I didn't do that in the latest months, latest weeks, and I got stuck for quite a few months, and I want to get unstuck and go back to drawing. And especially as I'm very surprised, people tell me that they love what I do. That's very surprising for me. And I love the idea of the sounding board. I mean, it's very precious. I mean, if I don't know if I'm probably going to write in French. If I use digital tools, maybe I can easily translate and put. If I don't write many words, that could be interesting to have your feedback, even to see if you understand what I tend to say about the drawing. I'm very intimidated about drawing. It's always been a big challenge for me, but I would like to make progress in this, and to be able to share more, to do it more and to share more, and because as you said, I mean, we are working in something that is future related, and nobody knows how we are going to organize in a few decades. But the visual it's such a simple tool to share complex ideas. That's so fascinating. I mean, the things can change, but the visual will share deep meanings and things like so. So I think it's worth working on that and fighting with myself to go on in this direction.
That sounds great, and I like that. Yeah, we can be here to help you do that fighting. And what I think is potentially cool about the sounding board piece specifically too is that it's a good stepping stone to make you more comfortable if you then decide to go out and share that writing or those images, and with Muddy's plans as well. As he mentions, a safe place to share.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a big piece of this.
Exactly. Safe, but it's not only that. It's a safe place, but also I love what you do. I mean, I each of you, I love what you do, and that makes me proud to be part of also of this community. That helps me. That's something.
That's great. Well, thank you for sharing that. I feel the same way too. It's very, very cool to see what everyone is up to, and just to be able to develop the relationships that we've developed over the past year or plus, however long all of you have been a part of this. And I think probably everyone's at least a year now, so that's kind of cool. So keeping up the cool work that everyone is doing is another thing that will come throughout 2017. So Christine, I'll be sure to get you set up with a progress log, and I'm glad you reiterated the benefits of a sounding board. We'll make sure to get that in place as well. Raven, let's throw it back to you. I saw you shared a link within your progress log to your cool Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Woo. Let's see how your audio is doing, and talk us through some of that.
All right, you can hear me?
Yeah, it sounds better.
No? Okay. All right. I had to go old school and be all wired for it to work, but it's working. So my 2017 plans that I shared, I guess I can screen share it. Yeah, new year, new do. I got some curls I wanted to rock, be bolder this year around. Okay. Okay, so do you see the sketch note or the
Yeah, we can see it.
writing? Okay. So there's not very much imagery on here. It's mostly just text. But what I did, and this is just the business kind of side of what I want to do in 2017, is separate into the 4 categories I want to build. And then going down the far left column those are the months of the year. So I have a focus for each 30 days. And like Muddy said, I don't have it all figured out, but that's okay. And so the biggest focus right now is on doing stuff for the Sermon Sketch Notes community. And that began with launching the Kickstarter this weekend. And that was a lot of fun, or last week. And then in Artful Devo, I'm working through another Bible study plan, and locally with clients doing social media marketing. I'm about to step into another plan because we were talking about what I've done so far. I was like, oh, you could do X, Y, and Z too. And they're like, oh, will you do that for us? And I'm like, oh yeah, if you pay me. And they were like, yeah. So it's like, all right. And then with a friend, we're working on building a way to customize social media marketing plans for other people through an online deliverable product where we don't have to do a one-on-one consultation. But the funnest part has been working on the Kickstarter. And that's just been really cool. I don't think this will play the audio through the webinar, but it's been nice. I've got a few backers already, and I guess I'm trying to do too much, and my computer just froze not too long ago, so I need to quit that. Need to make myself stop. But yeah, I was trying to scroll down to show y'all I got some support from within the community on my Kickstarter project. So one of the rewards is the same class I took that we all took that helped me out with visual note taking, and that's been fun too. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, congrats on getting the Kickstarter up and launched. That's a fun time. And we'll find some ways as a community also to kind of keep spreading the word about that, I think. Yeah, that's an interesting balance too of having these local clients that aren't as aware of what you are aware of and the potential things they could be doing and you can be doing for them. So it sounds like that's a cool opportunity to have some local in-person work. And then also the kind of more online out of the box products that you're working on as well is cool to be pursuing. And I like the month-to-month breakdown too, to have like a 30-day focus for each of those projects and to let that evolve throughout the year, not have all of that planned out at the beginning, and be able to kind of adapt as the year goes on. And I will ask you, Raven, how about ways in which this community can support you throughout 2017?
When we do talk about things, I love getting questions. When people ask questions about a project, I'm like, oh, that's cool. How are you doing this? Because a lot of times I don't have the answer, but it was a really good question and I should have the answer. So it illuminates all my blind spots, and that's really cool. And it's like, and just hearing everybody mention progress log was cool, because I think I was pretty faithful on the other site doing the progress log, but on this one I haven't. And it's one of my words for this year is document. And documenting the progress I do is kind of like having a done list instead of just a to-do list. And that done list gives me motivation to go back to the to-do list and I see the progress that I've made. So I need to get back on that and start the progress log. So, but I, so one way this community already helps is just people sharing their experiences. And then it makes a good reminder of when another project comes up to be like, so and so did something similar. I need to talk to them and see how they did it. Or just knowing different directions to point people in when they ask a specific question, like, you know what, I don't know, but I think I know somebody who does know, is cool too.
Yes, that is all great. I wanted to reiterate one of the things, the way you phrase something about when folks ask follow-up questions. You mentioned how that illuminated blind spots. I think that's also potentially something to keep in mind for all of us, since we've all got these different projects that we're working on, and our proximity to our projects often makes it hard to see those blind spots. So that's another thing that we can keep in mind for each other as we are sharing what we are working on and seeking feedback. So thank you for putting that out there, Raven. I think, Christine, I remembered the name of the person who talked about doing digital facilitation and graphic recording. His name was Roy Blumenthal, and I'm trying to find his website. But if I'm not able to find that now, I will look it up and try to share that with you.
Roy,
But I'm realizing that's not what I meant, because I know who is Roy Blumenthal, because I belong to a Facebook group, the graphic, I don't remember the name of the Facebook group. What I mean by going digital is, do I learn myself to use the digital tool? I mean, just
Right.
the first step would be for myself and to put the drawing on the computer more easily, and doing maybe things like translating in French or English more easily or whatever, and doing digital drawings live like Roy Blumenthal does it. No, not yet. I don't feel ready right now. not that far.
Gotcha. So it's more a question of if that's a tool that you want to pick up for yourself to use. So that makes more sense.
So step by step.
Yeah. I like it. Great. Well, thank you everyone for sharing. It's very exciting to hear what everyone is up to throughout the rest of this year, and also seeing some themes around the way that this community can be a place of support and feedback throughout the year. So that has helped me gain a lot of clarity around what we can do here with our time and excuse me, and with this space. So that's getting me excited very much so about the year to come. Want to reiterate too, for folks watching this after the fact, be sure to share either within this webinar channel on Slack or just responding to an email form to me what your plans are for 2017 and how we can support you. Even if you're unable to make the webinars, but maybe are able to tap into Slack, let us know how we can support you there. And I will be sure to get some progress logs set up for folks so that you have that as a resource. And we'll chat again next week. Not yet sure exactly what the topic will be. I kind of abandoned. I felt like while it was kind of useful to follow the module by module of the introductory course, I felt like those were falling a little bit flat and weren't overly useful. So not sure if we're going to dig back into, I think we had gone through the 4 intro modules or the 5 intro modules, and then we're primed to talk about using visual thinking as a learning tool, a problem solving tool, an idea sharing tool. But those felt a little bit too, maybe trying to cover too much. So probably we'll pick something a little bit more focused for next week's webinar, make it a workshop in format. And then the following week, we can do more of a feedback sounding board Q&A style webinar and start getting into that cycle to see how we like it. So thank you all once again. If there are, and also Muddy mentions a community-led session. Absolutely, that's a great way to use this time, and would be a great fit for really either kind of the workshop style, or if someone wants to run a sounding board style. So if you would ever like to take the lead on one of these workshops, I would gladly hand the reins over. So just let me know if you'd like to do that. And it might be for those teaching or in a presentation mode to test out kind of what that might look like, or any other idea that you might want to use this place to test it out and run one of these workshops for us. Let me check one more thing, actually. Yeah, okay, so there was one last thing I'll mention here before we sign off is not to throw too much of a wrench once again into everyone's schedule, but I am open to the idea of shifting these workshops back to Friday, if that ends up being a better time for everyone, or a better time for more people. It seemed like kind of in previous epics of this community that Friday time was a little bit more available for folks, just because Fridays tend to have a little bit more space, especially, I guess, at least within the US. We're talking kind of lunchtime or after on Fridays. It might be more difficult for folks that are on a later schedule, because that would be a kind of Friday evening for Christine. If you have thoughts on that, let me know. I might end up sending out a survey to the broader community via an email to get kind of more data from more of the folks that have joined at one time or another here. So far, at least, sounds like the Fridays would work okay. Cool, so that's good. Good immediate feedback there. Thank you for that. Any other questions or comments, things that anyone would like to jump in and share before we sign off for today? Cool. Well, once again, thank you all for making it out. Happy 2017. Good luck in everything that you all are doing. You are a wonderful group of people, and I'm glad I have the chance to chat with y'all each week. And here's to many more good conversations and good things to come. Ciao, says Muddy. Ciao to you all as well. Hop on and say a vocal goodbye if you would like.
Bye.
Bye, Raven. Have a good week.